Welcome back, everybody. What's up? What's up? We got a special treat. Look on the cover. Look at this beautiful cover. This is issue number 16, covering May 20th through June 2nd of 1982. Now, if you were around 1982, Van Halen was in full swing and tour in support of Diver Down. Remember Diver Down? Some people loved it or hated it. I liked it because his playing was very raw, but they did a lot of covers apparently on that album. So a lot of people were not happy with it. But if you got to hear Eddie with more tricks up his sleeve, it was worth it because he did a lot of cool playing on that album. And so there you have it. All right, I'm telling you, you're hearing KGTR. If you haven't already, click subscribe, hit that notification bell. Any questions, comments, or feedback, leave them below. And we're here going to give you Kerrang! Magazine. We're going to go over it page by page. We're going to glance through it. Any particular interview you want, I'll be more than happy to upload a follow-up video where I can read the interview with you out loud if you want. Otherwise, we're just going to comment, discuss, goof on, whatever this issue has. All right, let's go ahead and begin. So we got Kerrang! Britain's loudest rock magazine. It's true. All right, we got beautiful, look, 1982, remember it? I told you the look with the bandanas. He's got bandanas on his wrist. His little shiny silver shirt right there, open. Another little scarf right there, necklace. Right, in this issue we got Twisted Sister. Again, they haven't blown up yet in 1984, remember? We're Not Gonna Take It. And I Wanna Rock, that was 1984. This issue is 1982. So right now they're still basically, they have a good following, but they haven't exploded to the world yet. You'll see what I mean later. Aldo Nova, everybody who knows anything about FM radio, Aldo Nova had that song Fantasy. It was everywhere. Roller rinks, stadiums, arenas. Aldo Nova, it was just awesome. It came out of nowhere. It has an incredible guitar solo. At the time, it was an incredible guitar solo, and I was a huge fan of Aldo Nova because of his Les Paul and the way he played, but it reminded me of Ace Frehley. The only other guitar player that I remember with that Les Paul, besides Jimi Hendrix, was Ace Frehley. And then now, here you got Aldo Nova tearing it up with the Les Paul and no Floyd Rose. Eddie had the Floyd Rose. Aldo Nova didn't need one. Of course, he's not as good as Eddie, but nonetheless, the solo for Fantasy is really good. Look, Stones. Is that the Rolling Stones? Look, Handsome Beasts, Status Quo, Carlos Santana, Joan Jett, Scorpions, Girl School, and Judas Priest. These are the bands that were shaping heavy metal in 1982. Remember, we haven't even gotten to hair metal yet. We haven't gotten to Motley Crue, Quiet Riot or Def Leppard, or Black and Blue, or Loudness, or Striper. We haven't gotten to Queensryche, Autograph. All those bands are going to be coming in about a year and a half, right? So right now those bands are forming or touring in the local club scene. There's no Dokken, there's no Rat, right? They're scratching the surface. They're waiting to get signed and popular, so stick around. All right, so let's go ahead and open her up and see what's in it. Look, Mayhem. So again, this is the second issue now where they're putting white print on black paper. At least you can read it better, right? Here we got Bernie Marsden. We got Rudolph Schenker over here. We got Fred Turner, I think. I can't read that part. I can't read this. But nonetheless, at least it's more readable. If I print it out, I can read it. But it's white print on black instead of white on white or black on white. All right, here we go. Rock and roll is here to stay. She had a massive hit with I Love Rock and Roll. And that song kicked ass. It was basic, like 3-chord songs, but it was great. She wrote a great riff, great lyrics, catchy, and it's a nice little anthem. It was great. I love rock and roll. I want to rock and roll all night. Shout it out loud. I want to hear it loud. Wipe between the eyes of my kiss. All these anthems. A lot of bands were creating anthems so that when you played them live, you would chant with them in the audience. All right, look at David Lee Roth, 1982. Look at this. This is the Diver Down era. Little did he know in 2 years would be his last record with Van Halen. Little did he know in 2 years. Little did he know, in about 2.5 years, he's going to get kicked out of the band, either by quitting or by getting fired. Little did he know. All right, look at this. Look at this guitar right here. Look. Not the Circles guitar. That's not the Frankenstrat. That's another offshoot. I don't care for this design. This design here is ugly. But it's Eddie Van Halen. But this design never caught on. At least not with the fans. I just don't care for it. It's ugly. Right? Van Halen, you like wearing these little striped black and black over here. Here you got the red and the red. It's like his little uniform. Angus Young had the little suit. Eddie had his own little suit right here. I don't know what it is. It's like almost like those little toys that you had hanging on your tree, Christmas tree. This little outfit. Look, I just noticed that. Look, David Lee Roth is wearing some type of like pants with frills, right? But look, bandana, 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 bandana. It has all these wrapped around his leg just for fashion. That's what people did. Layers and layers of bandana. All right. So what's happening? So talks to David Lee Roth as Van Halen prepares for Tour of America. So remember, they just released Diver Down. They're about to tour. So if you're interested to know what this interview is about, let me know and I can read this out loud to you in another video. All right. Oh, look at this. This is cool. Look. This is a rare ad. No nonsense. No frills. Straight from the hip. Hard rock songs which bear the hallmark of stainless steel riffs of the Cachuenga variety, and featuring some genuine off-the-wall Van Halen-esque guitar work, which comes through with the subtlety of a chainsaw run amok in an abattoir. So right here, this right here is a great tribute to George Lynch. Look. And featuring some genuine off-the-wall Van Halen-esque guitar work. They're obviously thinking about Paris is Burning Live, 1982. Look at this Dokken, Breaking the Chains. This is George Lynch, already being heralded as Van Halen-esque guitar work. The album was good, but his featured guitar work was basically the intro to Paris is Burning and the solo inside Paris is Burning. And this is great. I wonder if George Lynch ever saw this. Van Halen-esque guitar work. That's a big, big shoes to fill. Great compliment. And think about it. This is April of 82, right? There's no more Randy Rhoads. So now they're comparing George to Eddie Van Halen. That was cool. Because when you first hear Paris is Burning, the intro, you think about Eddie Van Halen. But then you're like, wait a minute. He's doing things that Eddie Van Halen can't do or doesn't do. Which is it? Eddie can't do it because he wasn't doing it because George was doing it. He hasn't done it? Well, no, because George Lynch is doing it. But you hear nuances in George's playing. I'm like, oh, that's from Eddie. That's from Eddie. But it sounds like George playing George, borrowing Eddie's techniques. But George playing George sounded like George Lynch. That's why I always put George Lynch up there with Eddie and Randy Rhoads. Those three came out at the same time. One got signed in 77, 78. The other one got signed around 79, 80 with Ozzy. And it took George Lynch to get signed around 81, 82 with Dokken. But they all were touring at the same time around 76, 77 in the clubs. And that must have been great to see George, Carlos Cavazos, Randy Rhoads, and Eddie Van Halen all touring in the same clubs. Oh, that must have been something. All right, Mayhem. Look at Mayhem. More Mayhem tidbits. Where are they now? Here's the Van Halen tour news right there. Uriah Heep. We got Girl School. We got Tigers of Pantang. I never heard of them. We got Mountain. We got Saracen. And we got Palace. Look, here's some more David Lee Roth right there. Isn't that pretty cool? And the UK's top 30 hits right there. Or we got Blue Oyster Cult, or BOC as they call themselves. It's double and it's hot. The Cult's latest offering, live rock recorded during last year's worldwide tour and including. Now the good thing about this is bands were releasing live albums because of the success of Kiss Alive, Kiss Alive 2, Frampton Comes Alive. Other bands had some live albums. So you had Van Halen, I don't think ever released a live album. Isn't that interesting? There's live bootlegs, but Van Halen never released a live album, to my knowledge. I know they have live videos, but a live album, I don't think they ever released a live album. Dokken did, AC/DC did, the Rolling Stones did, the Beatles did, a lot of bands did, but I don't think Van Halen ever released a live album, right? From the Darkness, here's some heavy metal cartoons right there, or comics. Saxon, you can buy Saxon's album for how much? $4.29, album or cassette. Saxon, The Eagle Has Landed. Isn't that cool? The Eagle Has Landed, live album. That's pretty cool right there. All right, look at this, Twisted Sister. Look, isn't this cool? Now this is Dee Snider before We're Not Gonna Take It, or the other song, We're Not Gonna Take It, and the other song, yeah, I already forgot the damn anthem. But look, this is cool. The Dee Snider right there. They were fun live. They were a fun band live. A lot of makeup, but they were very good, very good. Look, this is the man. This is a beautiful Gibson Les Paul. Look at this. These are DiMarzio Super Distortion pickups. I love this tobacco burst. This looks like a guitar that Ace Frehley would have. And look, no pick guard. You take the pick guard off just like Ace Frehley did. I love Les Pauls that don't have the pick guard. Nothing wrong with the pick guard, it just looks different. It looks more metal. I think it looks more metal without the pick guard. But this tobacco burst, I've always wanted this tobacco burst of a Gibson Les Paul. And this is the standard right here, right? Standard? I can't be wrong if it says standard. But, he can play that Les Paul. Strictly for connoisseurs, 5 big ones from Neil Jeffries. Aerosmith Rocks, big album. Armageddon, that album right there. What else? We got Bad Company's Straight Shooter. Nazareth. And then we got UFO Force 2. So he's recommending those albums. Rolling On. So look. So in 1982, Rolling Stones were already considered old. They're already in their late 30s to early 40s. The Rolling Stones. They're in their late 30s, early 40s, which is old for rock and roll, right? They should have been pretty much broken up in the mid to late 70s. They're like, we're still going to make our music into the 70s, into the 80s, the 90s, and on and on. And they're still around. They're still touring. So God bless them all. I think they lost Charlie Watts, the drummer. If I'm not mistaken, I think they lost Charlie Watts, the drummer. They still got Ron Wood, Keith Richards, and Mick Jagger. I think they lost Charlie Watts. So that's sad. But yeah, the show must go on. And again, that was part of the poster, so I apologize for that right there. There you go. So if you want to see the Stones in 1982, here you go. They're very popular. They got even bigger with Some Girls in 78. And then all these other albums that came out later. They were still making hits. Start Me Up and all these bands, or songs, they had it. Right, Hot Shower, 14 hot tracks on one heavy-duty album. Hot Shower? Okay, so this has a lot of bands on the album. Slade, Heaven. I heard of Heaven's got a heavy metal video out there. Hawkwind, Alcatraz. I wonder if this is the same Alcatraz. Not with Ingmay, because Ingmay was on there in 84. So here's Alcatraz. Grand Prix, Budgie, and Triumph. Now, I don't know if this is Alcatraz with Graham Bonnet or just another band called Alcatraz. So who knows? Someone out there, let me know. Journey, White Funk. Here's Queen, Hot Space. So I think this one had Another One Bites the Dust. I think, yeah, Another One Bites the Dust. Huge hit for Queen. And again, they were popular, but they weren't as big until they got to Live Aid in 1985, right? Fist, Back with a Vengeance. Randy, California, right there. And then we have Blunt Talon, Saxon, right there. Cheetah, there's a band called Cheetah. Palace, I never heard of Palace. Bryan Adams, You Want It, You Got It. So in the summer of '69, that was all over MTV, right? Great song, great track. It was great. I forget what it's called, but Bryan Adams was good. So there's that. Contact. You want to contact the record companies and so on and so forth? There you go, right there. Raven. So here's a band called Raven and Fist. from Neat Records right there. All right, we got Kilowatt, Tricks of the Trade, an experience as explained by Ace record producer Marin Birch. All right, who's this? Handsome Beast. Is that the band Handsome Beast? Oh, look at that. So yeah, this band did not make, look, he's eating a chicken bone right there. So I think he came and went. It was probably popular for like 6 months. That's my take. I don't know. Again, more on Rainbow. They were big in 1982, so I give them their props. But now 3 straight issues that they've been on Rainbow. Here's some more Rainbow with Richie Blackmore. Armed and Ready. Now they're telling you about these up-and-coming bands to look out for. Shiva. Dumb name. Not saying they're not good, that's just a dumb name. Someone out there should look up on YouTube the heavy metal band Shiva. Here's Bordello. Never heard of Bordello. Alien. So there's 3 heavy metal bands I'm telling you to watch out for. They came and went. They came and went. Alright, what's next? Alright, what's this? More Rainbow. So again, here's Dio, Ronnie James Dio right there. What else we have here? More pictures right there. Kerrang. More Richie Blackmore right there. What else do we have here? Beware the Q, 1982. Beware the Q. I don't know what the Q is. Q. Beware the Q. Is there a band called the Q? Let me go. Here we go. There must be a band called Q. There we go. Q. Concerts. A Dog's Life. Here we go. Dave Saxon or Dave Barenbrook. There we go. Oh, saxophone. Is that a saxophone? Gamma only single right there. Gamma. So there's Gamma. Here's Lone Wolf. Here's Sacred Alien. Carlos Santana. Look at this beautiful Yamaha guitar. I think it's a Yamaha guitar right there. Look at these DiMarzio Super Distortion pickups right there. Yeah, that's a nice guitar. Double cutaway. Look at Joan Jett, top of her game, top of the charts. She paid her dues, and she had a big old hit. She had several hits. By 1984-85, she fizzled, but she was very popular in 1980, 81, 82. Very, very popular. Runaway success, see? And it's all because Joan Jett leaves the rockin' and roll. So you write good riffs, good anthems, people are going to flock to you. Crosswords right here. We're almost done with this issue. Right, more pen pal section right there. We got classifieds or standard classifieds if you're interested in that. We got fill-in, cutout, and post today in the arena. More merchandise. Want to buy some merchandise, posters, and jewelry? There you go. Or look at this beautiful look. This was his design. Guitar Heroes. Matthias Jabs from the Scorpions. That's a Gibson Explorer or Destroyer. Let me know if it's an Explorer or Destroyer. And these are his custom black stripings a la Eddie Van Halen, just to make it different, right? You wanted to be different, so now you associate these black stripes to Scorpions, and there you go, right there. And you got Girls School, Kelly Johnson, right? You got this beautiful poster right here for Girls School, and then we got letters to the editor, Any Old Iron. We got some Bobby G. And we got Carol's World Answers. You want the answers to the crossword? There you go. And then we got Rush, Gene Simmons. I got a cat right there. Who's this right there? Richie Blackmore. There's Richie Blackmore getting fitted for some pants. And there is the back of the magazine. Classic Cuts, Rapid Fire by Judas Priest. And that is the back cover of the magazine. So this is before the 82 tour. And live in Tennessee. And there you go. There's the cover of Van Halen. There it is, issue number 16, May 20th, June 2nd of Kerrang. Let me know your thoughts on this issue. Do you remember this issue? Did you have this issue? I'm Tony. Thank you for joining me here at KGTR. Any questions or comments, leave them below. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you all in the next video.